I went to the wedding this year from 2004. Happened to be the debating captain back in 2004. Happened to be married to the debating captain of Melbourne High School. And that is sort of, life comes around and goes around, and having that part of the communities. I pretend that I'm teaching in front of you in Japanese class in Kyoto, but I am, as much as I'm teaching, I'm also learning every single day from those people, all those people from all the way from actually 1999 I have started. My local pharmacist is actually my first year 12 students. So she now prescribes all my kids' medicine and my medicine and everything like that. So do not underestimate the people once again sitting next to you, because that is your best asset. Okay. On that note, I will pass on to Kami.
Hi guys. I'm actually quite nervous actually. I didn't think I would be this nervous coming back to school. But I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about why I decided to base my talk on leadership and the power of connecting with people. So when Sawaki Sensei, I got the email from Sawaki Sensei to come and talk, I used to keep sort of Mek Rob memorabilia in this little folder. And as I was scrolling through the folder, I went, oh yeah, okay, so I was SRC exec in year 9. Okay, I got, SRC exec in year 12. I got, school colours for leadership, and I got some random school service award. And then I looked into each of the, I went, that can't be true. So I looked back and forward in the folder, and I went, I didn't get any academic prizes. So I didn't get, General Excellence Awards. I didn't get Science Awards. I think my highest in the Westpac Maths Awards, I don't know if they still do it now, I think I got 1 distinction in the four years that I was at Mek Rob. And so I thought, that's something that I was good at. So I really developed and defined myself as a leader. And I really used the skills during sort of my roles in leadership positions at Mek Rob that really defined and shaped who I am today. And I think you put your hand up to come to Mek Rob, you sit the exam, you don't expect to come out at the end of it with being a leader. So you come to Mek Rob and you go, yeah, I'm really going to get really good scores academically, I'm going to get to a really good course. So, when you go home to your parents and you show them these leadership awards, they're like, yeah, okay, where's your academic awards? But I think over the 4 years, and it was really hard not to look up a TED Talk and go, what are the traits of a leader? But honestly, I did have to Google, the top 10 traits of a good leader. And I think my 4 years at Mek Rob, I really got to develop those skills. And the first thing was I became very confident very quickly. Confident in myself and honest about who I was and who I was going to become. So if you can think about in year 9 when you enter a school, you don't know anyone else, and I was lucky enough to become the year 9 SRC exec. I had to really put myself out there, and by putting myself out there I had to be true, and I had to define myself and know what it was that I was, because if you're presenting yourself to your peers, in that first year, you pretty much had to have an idea of who you were. And as I progressed through the 4 years, I became more confident with leading people, became more confident in talking to people, interacting with people, and that really formed the really good skills as I developed through tertiary and my career. Secondly, it really drove my sense of commitment. So if you have your deadlines, you've got SACs to do, you've got your assignments to do on top of the events that you're organising as part of the SRC leadership group. You had to have an equal level of commitment across both things if you wanted to produce outcomes. And so that drive and that work ethic that I developed during my 4 years at Mek Rob continues up to my current career. So when you're in the workforce, people don't say, there's not much mention of what kind of report you produce or what kind of work you produce, but they look at your organisational skills and look at your commitment and your work ethic. And that's what really drove me, and that's what really helped improve during my time here. The other thing is communication. It really improved my communication skills. I became very quickly happy to talk to people in a really clear and succinct manner. People don't like to hear you rambling, and it's only in positions where you do take upon leadership, whether you are either house captain or debating captain or SRC, you really had to portray your message that you wanted to in a very quick way. So when you're standing in front of form, you do it in a few minutes flat because everyone else has to talk as well. Really helped me have a really positive attitude and outlook, and building on interacting with other people. And I think all these skills, I guess, some people are naturally born leaders, but for me, I know I wasn't. And the bonus of kind of taking on leadership positions at Macrob for me was that I was able to develop these skills so early on, and by the time I exited Year 12 and entered tertiary and entered the workforce, I really didn't need to continue to work on them because they were quite consolidated. And so when it came to working, I felt it really easy to connect to people. I felt it really easy to communicate to people, and I have really well developed interpersonal skills. So my take-home message is, if you can, pick up the courage and see if you can engage in leadership positions here, because they're great opportunities and they're great ways to develop you and find out who you are as a person. Because if you can do that earlier on in your life, your kind of life after school will be a lot easier. And on the courage thing, I think I was doing the leadership positions. I was even courageous enough to audition for the High School Musical, and I never was a really good singer, but that was just the courage thing that came out of that. So just moving on to sort of being a leadership and connecting with people. My background is a physiotherapist, and then I've changed my career now, but for the last 7 years, I've had to work in the area of neurological rehab, where I'm working with patients who have had a stroke, can no longer walk, can't talk, or patients with multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's disease and motor neuron disease. So when you see those type of conditions, it's pretty much you know what you're going to expect. So there is an expected trajectory that your patient's going to go through. So they're not going to get any better, they're actually going to get worse. And that ability to connect with them, when I talk about the power of connecting with people, the power is in your hands to enrich the life of someone else. And by enriching the life of someone else, it's your ability to connect. So my patients never really cared if I knew the brain anatomy in and out. They never really cared if I knew what was, what part of the nerve or what part of the brain system connected to the part that I was treating. But what they did care was how much I was able to understand their experience, how much I was able to connect with them on a personal level. And when I say the power, when you do a rehabilitation with somebody, you are not going to get good outcomes if your patient doesn't join you on that journey. So your patient needs to sit together with you and set goals with you, and they will only do their program with you if you are able to connect with them. So I could be have A+, got all positive results through my physiotherapy degree, but I can guarantee that even if I knew my anatomy inside out, I probably would not have been able to produce positive patient outcomes if I didn't know how to connect. And so those leadership positions at Macrob really gave me the ability to actively listen to people, understand people's experience, try to relate myself to their experience, and grow and define myself as a person. So my take-home message to you is, engage in as many sort of leadership things as much as possible, and have that courage to take that next step. So I thought I'd also share some pictures as well. And I think it was really funny because back in the day we didn't have the smartphones, and so we had that 24-36 film exposure. And it's really interesting when you go back and see what kind of photos you took. And I think I ended up having 24, but obviously L208 meant a lot to me because I took a photo of L208, even though I only had 24 photos available on my camera. So that time with Saiki Sensei and these guys has been, really resonated with me over the last 11 years. So Saiki Sensei always added in a little bit of fun in class, so we never really did a lot of, it wasn't just class time. Don't know what we were doing, but Kim looks like she's jumping, grabbing something from the tree. Can't remember, but we are in our fancy Macrob Year 12 t-shirts. Whoever's the Year 12 SRC exec, you can come and talk to me about it, because that brand, I still wear it now, so it's lasted 11 years. The other thing is Saki, I found this in my little memo book. He went overseas and he brought home this gadget that we could interpret what the dog's bark said. And so we had a session and we played with the dogs out in the yard. This was our final Year 12 class back in 2004. And this was a few months after when we did a big catch up with Saki Sensei. And someone asked before about keeping friendships and relationships with your friends. This is us 11 years later. This was taken this year. So we went away for a weekend, and then myself and Viola in the library studying our master's degree. So yes, you do keep your friend. You do, well, for me anyway. I've kept my friends from Macroll quite closely. And the last slide, I guess you probably heard. Hands up if you've heard a lot of sort of little statements from Sawaki Sensei about life. So, Sawaki Sensei gave us this, and he personalised and individualised each person at the end of Year 12, sort of like a little statement that he thought resonated with each person. So for me, he gave me effort. And it said, some people dream of worthy accomplishments while others stay awake and do them. And this is a true story. When I got this from Sawaki Sensei, I looked at it and I went, oh, does he think that I'm a dreamer, or does he think I actually actively do things? And then I kept it with me for, how long, Sensei? So, ages. And then 2 years ago when I caught up with Sawaki Sensei, I said, Sensei, do you remember when you gave me that little paper? And he's like, yes. And I said, did you think I was the dreamer, or did you think I was the doer? And then he didn't come up with an answer. He was very diplomatic, but I was quite disappointed. I was hoping he would say the latter, but no, he didn't give me an answer to that. So yeah, that was just a funny little thing that Sawaki Sensei always drills into, and it looks like he's still continuing to. So that's my journey at Macroll and sort of my take-home messages. Do you have any questions? Yeah, so I'm currently doing my Masters in Public Health, and I'm doing health service improvement and looking at the delivery of health services at a hospital sort of service improvement and delivery level. So not as much patient interaction, I still do it on weekends, but I think took a step back and wanted to improve the efficiency and flow of how we design hospital services. So that's what I'm doing now. Thank you.
All right.